Do, 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 do.
Hey, what's up? Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of SimplyPodLogical, a Simply Nailogical podcast.
Hello.
So we've done an episode on Simply's favorite things. We've done an episode on my least favorite things. And maybe one day we do an episode on my favorite things. But today,
That leaves only.
Simply's least favorite things.
This may be my least favorite episode.
It's funny because you, by nature, are just not a negative person. So I am very interested to see how you handle people asking you what your least favorite things are.
This is the worst hour of my life. Welcome. Thank you for subscribing to SimplyPodLogical. Happy Taco Tuesday. And I'm really happy that everyone is here today to listen to me try and talk about my least favorite things.
Well, you know, negativity just sells on the internet, you know? You got to embrace it sometimes.
I hate the internet.
It can be a toxic place. All right, Simply,
Ben.
let's get cracking.
You're going to love this, aren't you? Just waiting. Just wait till there's a question about you.
Oh. All right, first question. All right, what's your least favorite thing about having long nails? I know for me, it's frustrating to be at work typing, says Time Next.
I actually really like typing with my nails because it's like this. How are listeners liking this?
You like that?
I like the feeling of typing with long nails. I don't know what it is.
The feeling
It's
or
just
the sound of it?
both. It just like it feels good and like, yeah, I'm typing my essay. You know what I mean? Okay, I'll stop doing that.
Yeah,
Sorry,
please.
apologies. Yeah, typing doesn't bother me. I mean, maybe it bothered my coworkers, but I never got any complaints.
Has no one ever at work has ever complained about your nails clicking on the keyboard?
No. I mean, most people back when we used to go to the office pre-corona, a lot of people wore earphones in the office. So did I
So
sometimes.
they can't hear you.
Yeah, like you're just analyzing data. You just don't want to hear any sounds around you, so you just wear earphones. So no one really heard my nails.
That would be a pretty funny HR complaint. Christine's nails are clacking too much on the keyboard.
Yeah, no. They have more important things to worry about. I would say like having long nails generally, obviously I deal with for years now. And I will say though that sometimes I appreciate why I keep my other hand a shorter length because I get to do things with my other hand, like open packages or peel garlic, which is something I never thought I'd say. But it's true. Like I don't want to peel garlic with my good hand because then I risk breaking a nail.
You
So
could use,
I
like, a
peel it with
knife
my
or something.
shitty hand. Yeah, but you still need to like peel it with your fingers. It doesn't really work.
Okay, so that's your answer. Your least favorite thing to do is peel garlic.
Peel garlic, yeah.
Okay.
Or like household chores, but I'll just ask Ben to help with that.
Yeah,
So I don't
that's it.
have
Those
to
long
do it.
nails are a good excuse sometimes. All right, next one. What's your least favorite flavor of tea?
I like this account, SimplyPodLogical. Always just popping up, always getting all the likes, and always has Ben's face.
So you love tea, but
I love
what is your
tea.
least favorite tea?
But I love all the tea.
Do you?
I mean, I guess in my priority list, at the bottom of the list,
Sure.
there would be maybe matcha tea. I don't like matcha tea.
So that's the green one.
It's
I don't really know my
It's the
teas.
green one that's like a powder, and you have to prepare it a certain way. I think you whisk it. I actually have never personally made matcha tea. I've only tried it
Okay.
made elsewhere.
What does it taste like?
Like ground up peas.
Delicious.
Maybe that's probably. I'm so sorry.
Someone's really
to all,
insulted
all
right
the matcha
now.
lovers. Like I know it's a delicacy to some tea lovers. Like matcha can be really like earthy and wholesome, and like there is a lot of flavor power
Sure.
to it. It's just not my flavor profile.
Or maybe you just haven't had good matcha.
That's also possible.
Okay. All right, next. What's your least favorite Simply video? So the least favorite video you have made.
Guys. Oh my god. Okay. Well, I mean, I like most of my videos, which is why I put them on the internet, I guess.
So I guess the question could be, though, like, I know we've talked about some videos we have weird memories of making,
Yeah.
but I think there's a difference between that and what's your least favorite video that like exists on the internet in and of itself, maybe. So I guess there's a few ways of looking at this.
Does using nail products I hate video count? Because I hated that one. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
That's an obvious answer. Maybe a more serious, like, not not regret. I don't really regret any videos that I posted on the internet because that's why they're still there and whatever. But something I learned after filming and posting and then kind of felt bad for, let's say, was when I reviewed a DIY nail polish kit. This was like 3 years ago.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember what it was called now. Like, it was by Rung. Like, I think the name was like RUNGH, Rung, something like that. And it was where you mix together like powder capsules with a liquid base and you make your own nail polish. Yeah. And its target demo was children, so not me. And I do have a history of just like ripping kids' toys apart. And that's kind of like the humor I thought, that both adults and maybe some younger people thought was funny to see like some 30-year-old lady tearing on kids' toys. Anyways, I did that to this DIY custom nail polish kit, and then I later learned after I posted the video that the founder and inventor was actually a 20-year-old, like a young entrepreneur who had first developed the kit when she was 16 years old and like pitched it to investors and was able to bring it to market. And when I read her story, I felt so bad that like here I just assumed, and it was my fault totally for like not looking into this product beyond the name and just like its primary advertisement. Sure. I assumed that it was just made by some giant kids toy company who didn't really have a good backstory and just knew what they were going to profit out of it and didn't really care about the quality. But I learned later that it was a young woman who actually had a passion for this and, wanted to lend the creativity of like mixing your own nail polish and how a little bit of that fun customization to young women. And I felt really bad for that. I think I left a pinned comment on my video just kind of explaining that and linking to her story because I felt bad. And I did talk to the young woman who made the nail kit by email at some point after that video. She forgave me. And I think she understood that, like, I make these videos for humor. It was never my intention to throw anyone under the bus, and I didn't really know that. But that was my fault for not looking into that. Had I realized that, I still might have made the video, but I would have presented it in a totally different way and, like, actually said that in the video, that this was actually made by a young entrepreneur, and that's something we should celebrate and be inspired by. Yeah, but I don't have that in the video because I didn't know about that till later. So that's probably my least favorite video for that reason.
I think that is an interesting point, though, and a good reason. Like, we look back in the past few years, and there's definitely been videos where you've sort of, like, made jokes about things or people or products or toys. And, yeah, thinking back, I think you would maybe want to be a little bit more responsible in some cases with some of that stuff. Because if an intention of a video is to just be funny and poke fun at something, you still don't want it to have like the implication of someone feeling bad about it, whether it's someone who designed a toy or, like you had a video where you sort of made fun of the culture of breakup videos on YouTube. And I think that video holds up. I think it is good. But the fact that some people or someone thought that video was making fun of them and their divorce, that's not a good feeling, right?
Yeah, and that's never what I wanted.
Yeah.
I never try to single anyone out in any of my videos. I think the one Ben's referring to, like I had a broken nail, and so I did a, like, we broke up parody video because at that time, there was like a trend.
There were a lot of public YouTuber breakups, and they all put out videos with ads on them about their breakup. And it was just kind of this weird thing that seemed to be happening on YouTube at the time.
And when I did that, it wasn't a response to one person's video. It was just the collective trend that I had noticed in others, that like a lot of people were posting breakup videos. So I broke up with my nail, and I thought it was funny.
All right.
Anyways,
next question.
That's not my least favorite video, though.
Okay, what's your least favorite nail art by you?
Guys, water marble.
Were you ever able to do that properly?
No, that's why I hate it. I can say that with confidence. Something I hate.
Okay.
I just can't do the water marble, guys.
All right. What's your least favorite thing about Canada?
Customs fees.
Yeah.
I hate those import taxes and duties.
Canadians will understand this. Ordering products from the States, sometimes they'll just show up at your door or be held hostage at the post office, and you'll have to pay as much in customs fees as you paid for the product
Well,
itself
sometimes maybe, sometimes it's 50%, sometimes it's over 100%. You just have no idea.
It seems very arbitrary. There's no way of like contesting it. It's
no, they hold your parcel hostage until you pay the customs fees. And it's not just Canada. A lot of international customers who buy from the US or wherever will experience this. Like,
yeah,
it's really disappointing. I remember the first time I learned about customs. Do you want this story? It's kind of funny.
Sure.
The first time I learned about customs fees, I was in university. Like, I was already that old. I just never thought about it because I guess I never really ordered packages before. Good. But I found a pair of Coach boots. You know what Coach is? It was like, it used to be cool. Anyways.
Fancy purses and stuff.
It was on sale after Boxing Day for like 50% off, which never happens. And so the boots ended up being only $100, which was so good for that brand. So I bought my $100 Coach boots for like a Christmas present to myself for late Christmas present.
Sure.
And it came to the door and the UPS driver was like, yeah, there's customs due. And I'm like, what? And then he said, yeah, it's $100. I said,
doubles the price.
And I said,
boots.
like, no. Like, I started crying. Like, wait. I started crying after he said he couldn't leave the package with me unless I paid right there. And I didn't understand because I was like, I already paid shipping. Like, I paid shipping because it was like $20 shipping or something that on the website. I just didn't understand. And I was so upset and flustered because I was put on the spot. This young girl, this guy, like, he just wants to leave. He's like, give me the money or I'm taking your boots. And I was so sad. Anyways, that's how I learned about customs.
I'm very sorry you went through that. That sounds like a really terrible thing.
Thanks. I know. Perspective, guys.
A little bit of a first world problem.
Yeah.
My Coach boots.
But that's how I learned about it.
All right. What's your least favorite flavor of oats? Let's just say oats in general.
I love all the oats in the land.
All
Do
you?
Them. Yes.
You're not really like a fruity person.
You got
oat
me
person.
there.
Fruity oat person.
Yeah, I like my oats to taste like dessert, not fruit.
Okay.
So I guess blueberry flavor, just because I don't like blueberries.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's too bad because blueberries are delicious.
No, blueberries are disgusting.
Okay. Don't put blueberries in Cristine's oats.
Or blueberry tea.
Is that a thing? Blueberry tea?
I'm assuming it is, isn't it?
Oh, here we go. So, okay, stop picking all these from SimplyPodLogical.
But look how many legs they get.
What's the least favorite thing Ben does?
Eats bananas is what SimplyPodLogical is trying to suggest.
Should I just skip ahead? Let that be your final answer?
My least favorite thing that you do. Well, you upset me.
Uh-oh. Are we going to get in a fight on air?
By eating so much hummus. Like, guys, I'm telling you, the amount of hummus you eat in a day is disgusting. It's not good for you. Like, you have to have a healthy, balanced diet.
I feel attacked right now.
You got to think about the food pyramid. Hummus is not at the top, okay? And hummus is also not the entire portion at the bottom. That's this big.
If this is the worst thing you have to say about me, I feel pretty good.
But I love you.
I love you too.
Wait, what did you say about me? What was your least favorite?
I had a serious answer. I said you don't know how to relax, and your sense of self-worth is too tied to your productivity. Mm-hmm. Yeah, a little armchair psychology.
Does that mean I have to give you a serious answer? But this isn't couples therapy.
Yeah. You don't have to. You want to move on. People would probably enjoy though if you did point out some of my flaws.
Yeah, but I don't want to hurt you.
You won't hurt my feelings. Okay. I guess we'll move on there. All right. What's your least favorite thing about your day job?
Is my boss listening?
Maybe. Does she listen?
I don't know. Maybe. My least favorite thing about my job is that I can't physically be there right now.
Yes.
Good answer.
So no, we've been talking about this recently. So we've talked before how one of the reasons you keep your 9-to-5 crime stats job is that you like the sort of mental separation of going into an office and working on your serious work that you find fulfillment in and value and feels important, yada, yada, yada.
I feel like I'm contributing to an important cause. Not that I am important because honestly, I could be replaced. That's just how it is. But
if
I feel like I'm working towards it with a group of people who are as well.
Yeah. But if a lot of what you're getting from continuing to work a 9 to 5 job is being able to leave the house, forget about YouTube for a while, and work on something else. The fact that you can't leave the house and actually go somewhere to work on something else has been a challenge, right?
Yeah, it's like, this isn't the job that I signed up for or that I want.
Well, it's not
That
like the
sounds
work's
bad.
changed, right? It's just...
No, but the environment is so much for me. Like, I associate environment with so many things, and I find like I can't operate properly with whatever project I'm doing unless I'm in the environment that I associate that work with. So for me, it's been really hard to not have the office, and not just because I like my computer set up at work with my like cubicle desk or whatever, and it gets me in the mood to like run data, but also the people and like my coworkers. It's totally different not getting to see them or just ask them a quick question over the partition, or in the tea club. Like, well, there's no tea club right now. There's pounds of tea just sitting there at our tea
Is it
club
still
that have
there?
been probably, I don't know, no one's been to the office for months. I'm sure all the rats have eaten the tea. Rats have taken over, I'm sure. No, I have no evidence of this, but
Yeah, and it's really hard to imagine going back to the physical our office right now,
Yeah.
because it was designed in a very open concept way.
collaborative
It is
spaces.
like the opposite of what you would want during a pandemic. So
Yeah, I definitely miss the environment. One, for my ability to do the work. Like, I feel like I'm struggling not being there. And then because of the people. Like, we have a group on Instagram now that's like called the Socially Distanced Tea Club. That like just a few of us from work will talk in there, because how else are we going to talk about, tea and Lululemon?
and you need to talk about that, yeah.
Well, you do. Like,
I
that's
know.
part
It's
of having
important
coworkers.
to maintain those
Yeah,
connections,
you don't
yeah.
just talk to your coworkers about work. Sometimes, you have like ask them what they did on the weekend, or you talk about tea or other mutual interests, or you bitch about your boss. Like, not that we're doing that.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But like, it's part of it, and just like keeping those relationships. So it's been really weird not being able to see anyone from your workspace.
Sad face crying emoji.
Yeah.
All right, next one. What's your least favorite thing about university?
University. Wow.
Do you remember what that was like?
What year was that? Back in 2000 and...
It's been a while.
11?
When did we
No.
graduate? 9 years ago?
When I think back to university, I generally have positive thoughts, honestly. Like, I really miss that period of my life, and I miss, like, the feeling of fall and just going to sit down in the courtyard and, like, with all my textbooks and feeling flustered. Oh, where do I begin? Where do I begin? Open to this tab. And there's just, like, this feeling I really miss about that. And maybe we'll have a podcast about university and, our experiences of post-secondary school, because we've already done high school, so I think that makes sense.
That may have had something to do with the campus as well. Like some universities, like there's the downtown Ottawa University, where it just feels like you're in the middle of a city. Mm-hmm. Whereas Carleton, say what you want about it and its reputation, it has a good reputation for some programs more than others. But it felt like a campus. It felt like you were at a university. You were in a quad beside the library, other people reading books. There is sort of a romantic notion of like that academic sort of life.
I love the library. I used to go there by myself. I used to tutor people too. I used to tutor first years when I was in fourth year.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't know
Psychology
that.
students. Yeah. You didn't know that? I was before I met you.
Yeah.
Lots of things you didn't know.
Okay, so those are all nice things.
Those are all good things. I miss it, and I miss like learning and just being enriched and sitting in class and taking notes and wondering like, how come I don't understand this, and then trying to figure it out, and going back to class feeling accomplished that I understood this now, and now I can explain it better in my next essay.
And this is also juxtaposed against you've been candid about how much you hated high school, and going to university was that chance to be your own person and sort of figure out who you are.
Be what I want, do what I want, learn what I want, and grow.
Okay, so what did you
What
not
did I
like
not
about
like?
university?
Oh, you want me to be negative?
That's
My
right.
God. This is just an hour straight of Cristine trying not to be negative.
Was it the boys?
The boys.
The parties?
No, the parties were fine.
You enjoyed yourself?
Back in the day. I would say group presentations, or just any
Okay.
presentation. No, honestly. I think
yeah.
I've talked about this before, but I would deliberately drop a class in university once I learned that a requirement was a presentation to the entire class.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's kind of how I picked my classes. It wasn't at what time they were offered or who was teaching it. It was, but is there an oral presentation?
Wow. I
And
guess
yeah.
a lot of anxious people can probably relate to this, that if you a big portion of your grade counts on you being able to get up in front of 50 to 200 people and talk about something, even if you know that topic inside and out, if you just can't public speak, yeah, that's really tough.
And even though I know that I knew it, the content, it wasn't that I was afraid of, people thinking I didn't know what I was talking about, because I feel like I know. But once you put me on the spot like that, I tend to black out and I can't say what's in my head. And it's just like, I guess that's anxiety. I don't know. Sure. But it really fucks with me and makes me unable to articulate it the way that I totally could have in an essay. So that's why I was always a much stronger essay writer.
Sure.
Or anything that I could do without being under a spotlight or pressure. Exams were fine too, because no one was really like looking at you. No one's listening to you.
A proctor should be looking at you.
No, but you know what I mean. Like they're not actively like listening to you.
Sure.
But it made it really hard for me, and there were some times where I couldn't avoid the presentation. Like I have to take this class, or in grad school, you have to defend your thesis.
Yes. Yeah.
Didn't have a way out of that one. And when I was TAing, that's being a teacher's assistant to the prof, I could not get out of giving a guest lecture. That was something I had to do to a class of 300 people, of first year criminology students, and I was, I don't know, in first year of MA. So I was only 4 years older than them. I'm supposed to know everything.
Sure.
And then I was put on the spot to give this guest lecture. And about like crime and deviancy or something. I don't even remember. And it was really hard, and I probably, hyperventilated.
I wonder if there's any kids who like you were a TA for, who now look back and were like, that crazy nail girl who has 7 million subscribers graded me on my essays.
I remember it was my birthday when they had a midterm. And so I was handing out the midterm.
Sure.
And my prof knew that it was my birthday. So when everyone handed in their midterm, she said, like, by the way, it's Cristine's birthday. Let's sing her happy birthday. And then the class, like, begrudgingly is like, happy birthday. Like, they don't give a shit. And then I was like, stop, please stop. Like, I wanted to die. That's the moment I remember. And then I kind of joked, because I'm just so awkward and cringy. And I was like, you're all getting A's. I didn't mean that, but I said that because they're saying happy birthday, and I was just so flustered.
Do you want to give a little shout out to, it was Evelyn, right? The prof?
Yeah. Professor Mader.
Shout out Professor Mader.
Yeah.
I really liked her too.
Yeah, she was great.
All right, next one. What's your least favorite part of your body to work out?
Ooh.
So Cristine is a fitness queen over on Snapchat.
No, I'm not.
Beauty, what do they call them? Fit guru?
Fit girl.
Fit girl icon.
I don't know. I would say it's not really a body part, but an area that really sucks for me is anything to do with my knees. So when I'm trying to work out like my quads, my knees get in the way, because I am actually 84 years old.
Are you? Yeah.
Yeah.
You've aged well.
Yeah. It's been a barrier. It's really frustrating that I can never jump. Like, I can't do box jumps or squat jumps or any of that, because the high impact, or I can't even run. I can't run. Every time I run, I'll get like shin splints or my knees will start to pound.
Yeah. And you don't need people suggesting remedy. Like, you've gone to physio. You're aware of some issues with flat feet, and one leg's longer than the other. And
one leg's longer than the other. I have a hyperactive VMO on one of my knees.
Yeah. So
I ice my knee every single night.
Yeah. You just have to be careful about loading any sort of weight onto your knees, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But that's been annoying, I guess, during workouts, because there are so many moves where weight or the movement is going to travel through your knee.
Sure. Yeah.
So it feels like a big hindrance. I mean, I guess I'm just glad I'm not a competitive athlete, because then it would ruin my life. So
that'd be tough.
My life is fine, but I just have these knee problems I wish I didn't have.
Okay. All right. What's your least favorite brand of nail polish?
Guys.
Uh-oh. Come on. All right. You don't have to answer this one. I don't want you to get in trouble now.
I don't have any one brand that I'm like, I hate every single thing they've made, because that doesn't make sense to me. There's always going to be products that maybe you don't like from one brand, but then they have other products that you really like. It's just like makeup, right? Like, you may really hate some liquid lipstick that one company makes, but the same company might make an amazing highlighter. It's just kind of how it is. So I feel that way with nail polish. But I guess overall, nail polish that I really don't like, as you guys know, is just boring nail polish. And maybe the brands that I don't gravitate towards are just not that exciting in terms of their branding, because you really got to reel me in with some sparkle and exciting formulas. And that's just kind of always been my style ever since I've started getting into nail polish like 6 years ago, or even longer than that. Like since I was in high school, I used to always do colorful nails and find like multi-chromes, like old school Sally Hansen multi-chromes before they called them multi-chromes. They just called them like rainbow prism or something.
But like, so this is interesting. You've never just been like, I would like my nails to be a little like pinky nude color or a little pastel violet. That's just, you never gravitate towards that, eh?
I mean, maybe as a base.
Actually, so that's a good point. I've noticed comments about Holo Taco and on the Holo Taco podcast about like, would you ever come out with Holo Taco pastels or cremes and stuff? And clearly that's not where our bread is buttered or necessarily the main focus of the brand. I think that's pretty obvious. But the idea of having that sort of base layer upon which to put the special effects toppers and things like that is something I think could eventually be a thing.
I think I always just assume that as a baseline, people have these boring creams. I'll just say, just like neutral nail polishes, because neutral nail polishes are probably the most highly available type of nail polish you can find, whether you're going to a spa or a salon or you're going to the drugstore. That's just kind of everywhere. So I just have this kind of expectation, well, everyone owns like some kind of beige or pink, because that's the most commonly produced nail polish cremes, right? But what they don't have is a Holo Taco or some of our more like intricate, like a linear hollow formula or something that, you know, isn't a standard staple in the drugstore or even at the salon.
Okay.
Not to turn this into a commercial for Holo Taco.
No. I like that you answered this without naming any specific company.
Drugstore brands generally, they don't excite me. So I guess that's my least favorite brand, drugstore.
All right, next. What's your least favorite commercial, TV show, or movie that you acted in? So people listening probably know Cristine appeared in a bunch of commercials and one movie when she was a child between the ages of what, like 6 and 12?
8 to 12.
8 to 12. Okay, so not that long, I guess.
Not that long ago. I am a young woman. No, I'm just kidding.
What's your least favorite?
I mean, like, they're all kind of cringy when I watch them back. Yeah, absolutely. I'd say the weirdest one, though, that, like, is so weird, even as a toy for a 12-year-old, was Sneezing Louie.
Yeah, I remember this.
So
Explain to people what that is, yeah.
So before Sneezing Louie, which was the commercial I was in, there was Gooey Louie, which was where you pull a booger out of some plastic mannequin's nose. And you have to try and pull it, I think, when it makes a certain sound, and you have to be like the first to pull it. I don't quite remember how to play the game, but something about pulling a booger. Yeah. And so I was in the follow-up of, I guess Gooey Louie was really successful as a kid's toy.
Yeah.
And so they made Sneezing Louie, and I don't even remember the difference, but I guess he snows. He sneezed. He snows?
He snows? So it was like a plastic toy head
that you would pull a booger out of their nose.
And like fake mucus would like shoot out of its nose somehow, right? So what was filming that commercial like?
We had to fake sneeze. I remember having to like, like pretending to be like, my nose. I wonder if we can find that footage. If we do, I'll
think
play
it might be out there. I think someone on Twitter found it at some point. Maybe we'll put it up to the side.
I remember watching that commercial back after it had been produced. And even as a kid, I remember being like, this is so stupid. It's so bad.
That's funny. All right. What's your least favorite type of person?
Okay, since I'm not pointing out any individuals, I like the way this question is. Thank you, Lucy. Insecure narcissists.
Insecure
right.
What if they're secure in their narcissism?
They're also annoying.
Okay.
But I think people who fish for compliments and already know the answer that they're looking for because they just want to justify what they already think of themselves, but they're still slightly insecure that they need to make sure that everyone else is giving them that positive affirmation.
So like Gabby Hanna.
Oh my God. I did not say that. Okay, how do we...
All right. Here's the next one. Who's your least?
Wait, no. Can I finish? Can I finish?
I'm sorry.
Go
sorry.
back.
Okay, back. Narcissist.
I don't like to point out individuals. I think it is...
That's very mature of you.
I think it is rude, and also we don't know everyone's whole story, honestly. So it's very easy to judge a person online based on their content. I do it too. I absolutely judge people online, but I don't think it's appropriate, especially as someone with a large platform, to put out my opinions like that, my like flippant opinions on people. I think it's fine. Everyone has natural opinions about people. They may decide they don't like this person, but what good is it doing just like saying to a million people, I don't like this person? Like, that's what I don't like to do.
Some people maybe deserve to be called
I
out
don't,
sometimes.
I guess I don't agree there. I don't think so.
You're a better person than me. You're very
Well, that's
very
not what I'm
mature
trying to
of you.
do either. Okay, so let me just, I guess, elaborate on why I don't like insecure narcissists as a personality type.
Okay.
Because it's just this endless loop of a person trying to prove themselves right, but because they're not secure in themselves, they need other people to act as like their own voice and just tell them, no, you're good. And that is just such a frustrating personality to me. And I can't deal with those people because I will never be that person to just like give you all the compliments you want just so you feel better about yourself. Those people are selfish and using others for their own personal validation. And it's just like not a good personality trait to me. It's pretty weak and gross and selfish, and it shows a lack of care for other people because usually these types of people don't give a shit about the people they're seeking validation from.
Yeah, but like how many people really fit that mold so specifically and entirely? Like, people contain multitudes, right? There are times in my life where I've been narcissistic and maybe fishing for compliments. Most people, I think, right? It's just, if you are routinely and repeatedly doing that, then
I'm thinking of it like that's their defining characteristic. This is what they do on a daily basis, from others. And I don't just mean celebrities who might do that.
Sure.
I think back, and there's absolutely people I went to school with, and you could tell the person in the class who had that type of behavior. Like, they always had to be right, or they had to have others tell them that they're right.
It's like pretending to be self-deprecating just so other people will tell you that you're great or pretty. And... Okay. All right. Your least favorite YouTuber.
Guys.
You're too nice to answer this.
I actually don't have one single person that is for sure my least favorite. I'd say it's just, maybe if I could group it by channel genres.
Okay.
Like, I'm really not into channels that are so self-focused that do this insecure narcissism thing where they want their fans to ultimately tell them how pretty they are. It's like someone who posts a picture and then they type like, I think I look ugly today, knowing full well they don't look ugly, like, but they want their fans or just people on the internet to be like, no, you look good, or you're on fire, what are you talking about? Like, I don't like people whose content is like that, or whose content is heavily focused on their wealth. I think that's something else that I'm really not into.
Yeah.
Now, it's not a bad thing to be rich, and maybe you've been very successful off YouTube, and that's fine.
And it's usually good to be honest. It's weird when people hide that they've been very successful.
Yeah, too, or they downplay how rich they are in attempt to be relatable. I think we've talked about that before, and we don't like that because it's just being dishonest to your audience. But on the flip side, there are people who maybe even aren't that wealthy, but they just like use that as a narrative and be like, oh, give me my Gucci and my Chanel and blah, 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 my Birkin bag that costs like $35,000. And that's part of their defining like who they are and their self-worth. And they use these products as props to like help accentuate themselves as if like that is them and their identity. And I've never understood it. Maybe it's just because these labels mean nothing to me, so I don't attribute much value to them other than like, you spend how much? But it's not something I'm interested in, and as a result, I tend to not want to watch that content.
On your first point about narcissism, I think we need to have just a little bit of awareness in the sense that just putting yourself on camera and thinking that your opinions or your, content is worth people watching, it kind of takes a baseline narcissism even to sort of put yourself on the internet, I think.
You're right. No, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. Just by having this podcast, or just by deciding one day to put my face on camera and like be a personality, I must have thought on some level that people will like me, right?
I guess.
Or else why would I do that? Or why are we voicing all of our opinions on this podcast if we don't think that the majority are going to agree with it?
Or not just agree, but have some interest in hearing what we have to say, right?
No, yeah, you're right. Yeah. I guess
which is that's so interesting about you is like you do have this anxiety and shyness to you. So the fact that you ever started putting yourself on the internet just seems so strange to me.
I think we talked about this before, and it's not because I like wanted to be famous and seen, which is actually quite the opposite. I was very happy previously just painting my nails and no one saw my face.
Yeah.
But logically speaking, because I am a logistician, I knew that the steps to grow my channel and kind of be more successful in this business YouTube world was to attach a personality. Was to show myself to my channel and to kind of build. And I could see that anecdotally, never mind just like if I had a manager, they would have told me to do that, but I didn't need a manager to tell me to do that. But anecdotally, all the questions and all the comments were always like, show your face. We want to learn more about you. Like, do you have cats? Do you have a boyfriend? Like, where do you live? Yeah. And people wanted to know more. They wanted to see me. And then when they did see me, they wanted to see more of me, which was very strange because I was like, why?
There's something about that positive reinforcement too. Like, you put yourself on the internet. If the comments are positive and you have a fan base that likes you, I think you kind of get used to or almost sort of like addicted to that positive feedback loop to some degree as well.
You're right. I'm not going to lie. Of course, it feels good to have fans and, comments on the internet say, oh my God, like you're so cool or you're funny and like make another video. So of course it's nice to hear that. And when I was talking earlier about like narcissists who want to hear everyone tell them they're good, of course people as a baseline want to hear that they're doing things right or they're doing things well. That's fair and fine.
Sure.
So yes.
No, I think people will understand what you're saying. There's a nuance to it though that I think we should just address as people who are putting ourselves on the internet.
Yeah.
All right.
This is heavy shit.
What is your least favorite thing about being a YouTuber?
That's a good question. Well, I think there's kind of two answers here. The first is when people like in the mainstream media and just like your average person, maybe your dad, hears the word, this person is a YouTuber. There is kind of this negative association about being a YouTuber. And I think a lot of that roots back to Logan Paul when he had that Suicide Forest controversy. And it was widespread, splashed across all mainstream media that said like YouTuber, goes into Suicide Forest.
So there's like this media trope that the media loves covering stories about YouTubers when they mess up. Mm-hmm. So YouTubers can do amazing things like, raise $1 million for cancer research or pay for people to go to school and pay their tuition. And that's not going to get media attention. But someone, fucking up and, showing a dead body in a vlog is going to get national attention. A bunch of kids, YouTubers, influencers having a party in California in the height of a pandemic, that's going to get news coverage in a way too, right? So we always have to fight with this being associated with that broader conception of what it means to be a YouTuber.
Mm-hmm. And I remember after that Logan Paul stuff happened, someone at work said, is that what you do? You do YouTube?
Is that what you do? Film dead bodies?
Well, they don't, no, they didn't mean that. But in the media, they'd recently seen YouTuber does this awful thing. And they're like, wait, you do YouTube, right? Yeah. And I was like, yeah, but I do a totally different kind of show. So I guess that's one thing that, having that underlying negative connotation that the rest of the non-YouTube world kind of associates with being a YouTuber is something that kind of sucks and I wish wasn't blanket applied to all of us.
Okay.
And then the other thing is I guess it's more related to being a celebrity. That's such a weird word.
Okay, narcissist.
No,
You're a public figure.
I am a public figure according to Facebook. And having millions of people who know who you are, I guess, has taken a toll on me. And I believe it does anyone who's in a similar position, especially if you're an introvert and not someone who was necessarily seeking all this fame. And that doesn't mean I'm not grateful for it and, extremely happy and just proud and happy that I was able to, find all these people who share the same joy about nail polish or Holo or entertainment or whatever it is that I do online. That being said, everyone knowing who you are and kind of expecting a response from you on certain things or wanting to know what you're doing, or if you suddenly go offline for a couple days, everyone's asking you what's wrong, and people leap to conclusions about things or make assumptions about you based on not very much. And this kind of fear of maybe being noticed in public in a situation where you might feel uncomfortable to be noticed in public. And I think I have a good example of this. I wonder if have I said this before when I came back from the doctor's office once.
I'm not sure if you talked about this.
Okay, maybe I will. I can't remember sometimes if we have these conversations between us or if we said them on the podcast. So, first of all, I love when you guys have come up to me in the past or when we've met you at VidCon or, these big conventions where that's what I'm there for. I'm there to meet people. But occasionally in my personal daily life, there's been some instances where I just wasn't in the mindset of meeting fans, right? I'm just living my life getting groceries or something. And it can make someone who's an introvert really uncomfortable to have that just come upon you, surprise, right? Because that's not my baseline personality, isn't to be like, oh my God, hello, let's hug.
Yeah.
So this was pre-corona a few years ago, but I had gone to the doctors to have a mole removed from my leg.
Sure.
There is no issue with the mole. Everything is fine. But I had it removed and the doctor put a Band-Aid on. And then I went to Michael's, which is an arts and crafts store, because I was picking out supplies for shooting something. I don't even remember. And then I noticed that my leg was bleeding and I was wearing lighter colored pants. So it was bleeding through my pant.
Okay.
Because it had the Band-Aid ripped and then it was just bleeding. And then I was alone, but I was carrying all the stuff. So I had to put all the stuff on the ground and I look down the hallway or the aisle and I see someone taking pictures of me, a young girl. And I look at her confused. And then they clearly knew who I was. I obviously, why else would she be taking pictures of me? And so she kept
Here's
running.
Just some random lady bleeding in Michael's.
When she saw, I don't think she saw at first that I was bleeding. She didn't, she would have been too far. But it made me extremely uncomfortable. And she kept coming back. And I all of a sudden was hyperventilating, not knowing what to do because I was now fully bleeding down my leg. I wanted to cry. And I was trying to hold all this stuff. So I put all the stuff back, didn't even buy anything, and was just holding one of my pant legs up and trying to scrunch up where all the blood was because it looked like I got shot in the leg. It was really bad. It was how much it was bleeding. It didn't hurt at all.
What is that doctor doing that they're not bandaging that
I think
properly?
when you cut something, when you cut a mole off, it can have there's a lot of skin that was removed because you have to go somewhat deep. So it doesn't hurt. It didn't hurt at all, but it's just not a good area to cut because then it just keeps bleeding and you have to keep constant pressure on it. And maybe she just didn't put a great Band-Aid on and it kind of burst. Anyways, so it made me so uncomfortable that she was just taking pictures of me and not saying anything, but I also didn't want her to come up to me while I was bleeding down my leg. So I just remember being very flustered and uncomfortable that I even had to think about that when I was in such a situation.
Yeah, and from that kid's perspective, they're just here's a YouTuber I like. I want a picture so I can prove to my friends I saw her in real life.
Yeah, and I'm sure that girl had no idea why maybe I was so weird and flustered. But, I'm a human, so some things happen and sometimes I have a bad day or, things that not fans necessarily always know about. So it really freaks me out sometimes that not knowing when I'm walking down the street or I'm doing groceries or I'm just like living my life and maybe I'm in a bad mood, that someone at any point could be just taking a picture of me.
Yeah, we've talked about this before. The idea of someone taking a picture without your knowledge is one of like the sort of, it sounds innocuous, but it's actually one of like the creepier things because you just think about it all the time. And
Yeah.
like we're out for dinner once and we noticed someone was just taking pictures of us. And it's like, whatever, we're just eating. But it's just like, we just want to go on like a little date and eat dinner and not worry that someone's taking pictures to post on the internet too, you know?
And then in response to this, I know people are going to come up with the criticism like, well, you're famous, so what do you expect?
You asked for this.
You asked for this. Like, well, why'd you get famous then? Like, this is what I wanted.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's a fair thing to say.
No, at the same time, like, it's not the end of the world. It's not like complaining about it too much does seem a little sort of out of touch as well, I think.
Yeah, and I don't mean to complain. I'm very grateful for the fact that people know who I am because of my videos and they've supported me. I guess when I think of this one incident where I was bleeding, like that was really not a moment that I wanted to be captured on video, especially without even talking to me.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's very fair. All right. That was a little heavy. Let's move on.
I need some tea now. Is everyone drinking tea?
Yeah. All right. We've got a few quick ones in a row here. What's your least favorite TV show?
Big Bang Theory.
Good. That show is garbage.
So bad. I'm sorry if you like it.
Least favorite place to go or to be or go on vacation?
Anywhere in a bikini.
Okay. Least favorite foods?
Anything slimy. I'm good at this game now.
This is like one of the biggest issues in our relationship, by the way.
That I don't like hummus?
No, that we can't go eat, like I really like Thai food or Indian food. And you just can't eat anything like too spicy or too exotic, or like you just don't like curries or anything that's too wet.
A little bit of spice is okay. I'm getting better with spice,
Okay.
especially if it's garlic. I like garlic. Is that spice?
See that? Yeah, there's your
But
answer.
I don't like meals that are just in like slime. Like there's
What
enough
do you mean slime?
like
curry?
slimy. Like I don't
Being
want-
a little offensive here.
no.
Cristine.
I just there's slime on YouTube, and YouTubers make slime. Like I don't want
No
to
one's
eat it.
eating slime.
Well, I'm sure there's a video on that. Eating my slime.
All right. Least favorite genre of music?
Country. I fucking hate country music.
I think you have said that before.
I'm so sorry, guys, if you like country.
Least favorite thing about having super long hair?
Oh.
Tell us, horse girl.
I like my long hair. I think that like it gets in my butt sometimes.
It does go down to your butt.
But like if it gets stuck in my pants,
Does that happen?
just occasionally. It's easy enough to take out.
And what's your least favorite thing that fans do? This was a highly liked comment.
Yeah.
Is it kind of what you already talked about?
Guys, why do so many people no?
No?
First of all, my fans are amazing. You guys listening are awesome.
Sure.
And 99% of my experiences with fans have been entirely positive. People have been so polite. Even parents who I meet at VidCon are just like, "We love you," and I'm like, "Oh my god, approved by mom and dad." Like,
Yeah.
wow, it's really great. I guess the example I said earlier, where someone was taking a picture of me without talking to me and just kind of running away. That's something that has made me uncomfortable. And I think that would make anyone uncomfortable. Like, just imagine if someone's like taking a picture of you clearly from a distance and then they run away when you look and then they come back and take more. Like, I think anyone would have a similar reaction. It's just that maybe I deserve that treatment because I'm a celebrity. Is the argument.
There's something just to recognize in the fact that if you have more than, I don't know what the minimum, like if you have 100,000 subscribers, a fraction, a small percentage of them are just bound to be not the greatest people. Maybe it's 0.1%. But if you have millions of subscribers, that's still a big enough group of people that can have an impact on how you are perceived on the internet, or those people may be emailing you crazy things and demanding things of you. Like, one of the criticisms, like we kind of touched on this during the nail blogging podcast, is early on some of these nail bloggers started to not like you. And one of the reasons was you had some fans who would just go to other nail artists' account and just spam stuff about you. Kind of the same way K-pop fans will just go all over the internet and spam things about K-pop.
Yeah.
On threads that have nothing to do with music even.
Or Dan and Phil's fans who would spam pro tip everywhere.
Yeah, and that
Remember
was a really big thing for a while. And that makes other people annoyed at Dan and Phil or
the K-pop
the
band.
K-pop bands.
Yeah.
And I guess creators do have some responsibility to cultivate a positive fan base that aren't going around harassing people. But I think people just need to understand, if you have 5 million subscribers, a small segment of them are just going to be, maybe not the most well-behaved online. And there's only so much people can do about that. And don't get me wrong, it's not like, in a lot of those cases with you, like the fact that people were excited about you and talked about you on other nail art bloggers' accounts, I don't think inherently there was anything wrong with that. I just think a few people took it too far and were just sort of being like very annoying and like promotional on your behalf about it, to the point where it started to piss off other creators and artists.
And I can totally understand that, because when I was a small creator and people would self-promote like, hey, come check out my blog, they'd write that on my post. And I'd be like, what are you doing, bro? And I totally understand. I guess I just learned over time that this is just something that happened on the internet. So like you can delete the comment if you want. But it doesn't really help to get mad at, especially if it's a larger creator, like to get mad at Dan and Phil for all their fans commenting pro tip when like
unless they're
they didn't
encouraging the behavior, right?
But they didn't directly do that. That's the thing. It's just like fandoms kind of pick up on things and just decide that this is the direction we're going to go with this, and we're just going to comment this everywhere, even though it wasn't the creator they look up to who said to do that necessarily.
Mm-hmm. And let's just say, like, I find your fan base pretty overwhelmingly positive. Mm-hmm. And you can definitely tell, like, there's some creators who with these, like, amazingly positive fan base. Like we talked about Jen and Julian having just such a friendly, respectful audience.
Yeah.
I think you similarly have something like that. And then there's other creators that it's not a huge surprise that their fans are not as nice all the time, Yeah. I think there is some correspondence between the creator and what sort of fan base you cultivate.
Yeah, no, that makes sense, because it's the behaviors you're exhibiting as a role model to others. So the kinds of things that you do on your channel and the things you say might be repeated by others. So try and say good things. And now we have a podcast about my least favorite things.
All right. What's your least favorite thing about quarantine, lockdown, corona? Also, how is your eye rash doing?
My eye rash.
How is your eye rash doing, Christine?
Well, my least favorite thing about quarantine is that I can't go to work. So I've already kind of answered that. Okay. Because otherwise, my life is pretty similar.
Yeah.
And I guess not going to the gym.
And we're pretty fortunate in that sense, right?
Yeah, because if I wasn't at work or the gym, I was home. I am not someone going to parties or bars anyways, so my social life has not changed at all.
Sure.
It was nice to finally see my sister again and your brother. So that's
our bubble has
good.
gotten a tiny bit bigger, but not really. Very small.
Yeah, we're still being very cautious, probably more than the government has like said the level of cautiousness we should be right now. We are even more cautious than that. But I think we're doing okay. Mm-hmm. My eye rash, however. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if you guys can see it, but
I think you're way more self-conscious about it than you think. Like I don't think people can really tell when they look.
I don't know. I mean, like I can tell when I edit the thumbnails for this podcast.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll just give a little bit of background. So this started happening maybe 2 months ago, and I haven't been able to wear any eye makeup since. Mm-hmm. It's a rash that goes around both eyes pretty equally. It gets scaly sometimes, but sometimes it's just like a red ring. And I don't really know why it's happening. I am seeing and talking to my doctor and a dermatologist and whatever, all these things to figure it out. But I don't have full answers. It was something that happened in the past, and usually it was always correlated with traveling. So I'd always get it every time I went to VidCon, and my eyes would start leaking, and then I'd get the red rash. but you know, I'm hugging 300 people and I'm on a plane and I'm in, maybe it's pollution in LA that my skin just isn't used to. But I haven't gone anywhere in months. So to me, it's none of those things. And I haven't worn makeup in months specifically to make sure that it wasn't like a metal in makeup that's triggering it.
Yeah, let's not be too specific. We're aware that you have some allergies that could potentially trigger it, but this time there's
it's not
we don't
the
know what
allergies
could
that
have
I
triggered
thought it was.
Yeah.
So it's really frustrating, and I hate it because it's made me change my behavior on the internet that you guys haven't even seen. Like, for example, I'm not on Snapchat with my face half as much as I would have been had I not had an eye
Because you're
rash.
self-conscious
Because
about
I'm
how your eyes
self-conscious
look.
about it. Yeah. So maybe this
That's
podcast camera is like a good enough camera and it's far enough away that you can't really tell, and maybe it just sometimes looks like, oh, Cristine looks a little tired today. But that's because I'm not wearing concealer and because maybe it's a little bit red around my eye. But I think like what sucks more than just feeling like I'm limiting myself in, you know, posting and showing my face is I can't put on any makeup. And not that I need to wear makeup to exist in this world, clearly. Like even before this, I sometimes just don't wear makeup. I don't care. But I miss like when we launched the Rainbow Holo Taco collection, I really wanted to do like a rainbow gradient on my eyes because I thought that'd be so fun and so cool. And I can't do it. I can't do anything. I can't wear mascara. That'll totally make my face blow up.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that like really sucks. And it doesn't suck because I feel like I'm not beautiful without makeup. That's not what I mean. It sucks that I feel like I have no permission to be creative on my face right now.
Yeah.
Because it will make my eyes blow up.
Yeah, no, that really sucks that you can't creatively express yourself through makeup in that art form.
It's just fun. I don't even want to wear highlighter right now. I miss my highlighter, guys.
This is my least favorite thing. I'm sorry you're going through this.
What, my eye rash?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. What is your least favorite part of being a female? That's a big question.
Ooh.
Do you have a big answer or a small answer?
Well, like, it's hard to pee when you're in like the forest.
How often is that a problem for you?
Just when I've been at camp, it was always really frustrating. And I was just so mad that like I'd probably get it on my legs. Like I needed toilet paper. Like, you know what I mean? I guess
I don't know.
You don't know what I mean? Like it seems like such a simple task. Just like, oh, just go piss over there. Like maybe you're on a car ride or something.
Okay.
And yeah, it's really
Well,
hard.
that's the first thing that comes to mind. Not, societal expectations of beauty or the patriarchy with a capital P.
Oh, I mean, yeah, of course. Yes,
Yeah.
Of course, to your answer. Of course, there's parts about being a woman that I feel like is unfair or unequal, or there's a unfair standard put upon us or a baseline. And I've expressed that before.
Yeah.
And maybe I feel like women just aren't allowed to be as funny without, being cast as a dumbass or just a stupid woman.
Yeah.
The same way that men can just be funny naturally and have an easier time. And then there's also this expectation of beauty, of course. Like, a lot of women feel like they need to, like we were just talking about, wear makeup to look presentable in an office place for a job interview. They may feel like they have to dress a certain way, and they may feel like they're less worthy of certain positions in the employment industry because they are female and they have to work harder to get those positions or make their skills appear as valuable or more valuable than their male counterparts just so they can be recognized for their work. So yeah, there's constantly inequality. And
there's more than one answer to this
There's more
question.
than one, yeah.
Is there anything like better about being a woman than being a man, you think?
Better? I mean, no, equality, Ben. That's
No.
We're not better than men.
I totally agree with you and hear you in terms of all the things. I do wonder if there's ever a time where you're like, I'm really glad I'm a woman and not a guy right now.
Yeah, actually, there's one thing I could think of, and that's fighting when you're young. So I don't know why, but growing up, boys always got into like fist fights. And if I were a boy, oh my God, I would run for the hills because I don't like fighting anyone. And there was this expectation growing up. I mean, I hope things are different now, but like little boys would always fight each other. And it was always a competition to see like who was going to win or who was going to get scared away first. And that boy who got scared away was a wimp and like instantly branded as such.
Gotcha.
So that's a really unfair thing to happen to young kids and just like instantly get cast as inferior amongst males because you just didn't want to fight. Maybe might not have been because you're not a good fighter, but it might be just because you didn't want to fight.
Sure.
So as a female, there wasn't that equivalent behavior. No one was like fist fighting each other, at least where I grew up. Okay. So I didn't have to deal with that. And I remember being young and thinking like, thank God. But like it's a very immature young boy thing to do. So yeah,
I just thought you might have an interesting perspective on that. That's an interesting answer.
No fighting.
All right. What's your least favorite thing about running Holo Taco?
That I can't be there.
Yeah. Good answer.
Right now, anyways.
I saw some follow-up questions on the Holo Taco podcast about, how does that process of you prototyping and collaborating with the people who work on it, how does that really work? And a lot of it is just mailing things to you in Ottawa. But yeah, last year we were able to go down and physically be in the warehouse, to be, in the office in a way that we just can't this year. And that's very annoying.
Yeah, for sure. I guess I wasn't clear in the last podcast what I meant by like how I received the prototypes. But yes, our nail polish expert will mix them and then mail them to me. I will review, take pictures, and give my comments back over email, and then they'll reformulate and keep sending in the mail.
Whereas it would be much easier if you could just be like in a room together somewhere, right?
Yeah, and just the fact that I'm not there at all, and I don't have the option to be there sometimes. Like I'm assuming that it would just be better for the team if I could come down occasionally and like talk directly to them and like have better, more creative conversations rather than just, over the computer. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of sucks. And I want to see what's going on too. Like I would love to just, I don't have to be there every day because it's not my forte. It's not my skill set to know how to manage a warehouse, right?
Sure,
And I would never do that and stand there and watch everyone like pack that box. Like, no, I wouldn't do that. That's not my thing. But I do wish I could be there just for my own selfishness, just to see it all happen and unfold and observe and just be like, that's so cool, and kind of have a better in-person understanding of how it all works. Yeah, and I mean, like, we know how it works because it's been explained to us many times, and we hear, whenever there's an issue, and we try and think of, like, how we could address it, especially with, like, any public-facing commentary on something that we may have run out of stock on or whatever it is. But not being there and physically seeing some of these things is kind of limiting. Yeah. And I'm hoping in the future, who knows how long all this is going to continue. It's not clear right now
when the Canada-U.S. border will reopen.
Yeah, there's that too. But so that's my least favorite thing, that I can't be there.
All right, next up, what's your least favorite thing that your cats do? Cats can be weird sometimes, so I want to know what weird things Menchie and Zyler get up to.
I mean, our cats are amazing. Can you really don't want to say anything bad negative about those cute faces?
Yeah, Zyler eats too fast sometimes, and then he jumps into bed and he throws up all the food he ate too fast all over our bed.
Yeah, okay, I'll agree with that. He has thrown up in our bed more than once. Yeah, or on our carpet beside our bed.
It's hard to get that smell out.
You can't clean it really because it's stuck under a 200-pound bed.
What about Menchie? We got to be equal here.
What does Menchie do?
Does she do anything annoying, or is she just like the perfect child?
The perfect beauty guru. I don't know. Or maybe she's just so scared.
Yeah.
Like Ben will come home with a bunch of packages from the mailbox, and she'll be like, "Big box, I must run," and she runs away from like nothing. No harm.
Actually, that probably is my least favorite thing about her, is that she gets scared very easily. Yeah,
she's a little skirty cat.
Yeah, so even like if we'll have new friends over to meet the cats, she takes a long time to learn to trust people. Like my brother started coming over kind of recently in quarantine in our bubble, And it took him coming over a few times before she would
sit on him.
She eventually got kind of affectionate
Yeah.
with him, right? But it took a while to get to that point.
She's a very anxious kitty.
Yeah.
She's afraid of those that she doesn't know well. She gets that from her mother.
She does mirror you in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
What's your least favorite? Okay, we got a bunch of things. Okay, let's go quickly.
Quick one. Okay.
What's your least favorite candy?
Black licorice.
Okay, what's your least favorite baby name?
Rosie.
Like Rosie O'Donnell?
I wasn't thinking that, but just Rosie. I hate like flower names.
Okay, what's your least favorite app?
TikTok.
What's your least favorite sleeping position?
Flat on your back.
Least favorite book ending?
Can I change it to TV show ending?
Yes.
Dexter.
Okay, yeah, that show ended terribly. Least favorite ice cream flavor?
Pistachio. Sorry.
Oh,
I'm sorry, Ben. Sorry.
Uncultured. That's a good least favorite animal?
Snakes.
Okay. Least favorite famous Ben? Like
Like
celebrities named Ben. Ben Kingsley.
Ben Affleck.
Oh, I thought you were going to go Shapiro. Okay.
I don't know him well enough.
Least favorite childhood memory?
When I got stitches on my head. Right here. I have 7 stitches.
How did you do that?
I fell into like a nightstand, but the memory of getting the stitches is they kept me awake and they put me in like this big spider trap and they like stuck my arm. It was like a big straight jacket for your arms and your legs.
Don't think that's what they're supposed to do.
That's what they did.
Least favorite nightmare? Are you sure that wasn't a nightmare? Them
No,
stitching up your head?
That was true. Look, I have the stitches to prove it. Isn't a nightmare just a reassurance that your reality is actually good and you should value it?
I mean, that is one way of looking at it. Okay. Sure. Least favorite childhood crush you are embarrassed about?
I'm not embarrassed about any of them. I don't know.
Who when you were a little girl, who was like that celebrity? Whose poster was on your wall?
Celebrities. Nick Carter from the Backstreet Boys.
That was the older brother, right?
Yes.
The Backstreet Boys one, not Aaron.
But Aaron Carter seemed too young.
Is he
But I
younger than
actually
us?
think he might be my age. but it's just so weird. Because at the time when it was like all about the Backstreet Boys, Aaron Carter was like, oh, he's too young for me when I was like 10. And maybe he was 10.
need a real man like Nick Carter.
But he was only a couple years. Oh, no, he must have been like 19.
Yeah.
It is kind of gross, isn't it?
It's pretty.
It
That's
is pretty
normal.
gross.
Teenage. I mean, that's why little girls watch the Dolan twins now, right? All these 13-year-old girls who love the
Yeah.
Dolan twins, they wouldn't actually date them because that would be a crime.
Yeah, good point.
Okay. What's your least favorite life decision or something that you regret doing? This is the last one. Got to end with a heavy, serious bang here.
Oof. No, I don't really regret any major life decisions because I wouldn't know the other outcome that I didn't pick. So how do I know that that outcome would have been any better than this outcome?
I think this is something you hear from a lot of successful people. I think have a similar answer when they're asked about regrets, that they don't like to acknowledge regrets or even think about the past in that way. Like, it's important to consider mistakes you've made in your past in the sense that they can help you avoid repeating mistakes in the future. But people who are very obsessed with dwelling on things that didn't go a certain way and maybe your life could have been different if something happened,
It's kind
that's
of
not
unhealthy.
a really healthy way of living your
Yeah.
life.
You just live your life just being so upset and unhappy. So that's not good either. I will say, though, that I used to wish that I had a time machine. Because I remember in high school, I wished for years that I could go back to the beginning of high school and thought that if I just made a couple decisions of like who my friend group was or established myself differently or just tried harder at this, then I would have a completely different experience in high school. I remember like romanticizing that idea after the Ashton Kutcher movie came out. What was it
Dude,
called?
Where's My Car?
No. The Butterfly Effect.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
And I really liked the concept of that movie for that reason. And I used to daydream about like if I could go back to just this particular moment. Oh no, it should be this particular moment, and I would change this one thing. My life would turn out completely differently. And I remember spending years like just thinking, how could I do this? If I did this, what would happen? And just imagining it. And then I kind of like I got over that, and I'm like, oh, it's high school, and now it's behind me. But
Wasn't the point of that movie too that like if you just change one tiny thing in your past, you might think it's changing a very specific thing you want different, but it could completely change the course.
Right, because that's chaos theory.
Okay. Okay, go read about chaos theory tonight, and don't worry about the past. Think about the future.
No regrets.
Because children are the future.
What? Okay. Just don't get a tattoo you regret, because like if I did that, then that would be my answer.
Yeah, no tattoos.
Well, you can get a tattoo, just don't regret it.
All right, apologies to Nikita Dragon. We were going to have her on today to talk about education because she graduated first in her class. I'm not sure if you knew that. Because she was called up first to walk up on stage, so she graduated first.
I think I now know my least favorite thing about you. Is that you can't help yourself.
All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you, guys.
We'll see you next Taco Tuesday.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to get off your chest, complain about before we go?
Just you, but we'll wrap this up and then
fight
I'll
off camera.
Yeah. Thank you guys for listening. I hope that this was a positive experience for you.
All right, we'll see you next Taco Tuesday. See y'all later.
See y'all later. Bye.
Bye.